Irene by Andy Rutrough. Helen Schmidt whispered in a sing-song voice as she mixed Alfredo sauce for dinner. It was coming out nicely, white and creamy with her own rich overtone of depth. Larry and the kids loved her pasta Alfredo. Larry always said her cooking was magic. They sat down at the table. Larry held her hand, his touch still warm and strong enough to speed her heart after 15 years of marriage. "Accept our thanks, Heavenly Father," he prayed. She thought, as she did so often, "He's a pastor. What am I doing here?" Then she remembered him making up puppet shows for Eric, Adam, and Cynthia, him painting a welcome home sign with balloons and streamers for her when she got back home from surgery on her knee, him bringing her a single rose on the first day of each month, and she answered herself, as she always did, "He's wonderful. I love him. That's what I'm doing here." "She came by church again today," Larry murmured halfway through the meal. "Who?" Helen asked, but she already knew. "Irene Samuelson." Eric, Adam, and Cynthia sniggered. "Oh boy, another Irene Samuelson story," Eric said. Larry sighed. "She showed me the Easter flower sign-up sheet. Almost 3 times as many people signed up to pay for flowers as last year. That's strange. Everybody in the congregation." Helen frowned. "She wants to put lilies on the floor across the front of the church." "Okay," Helen said. "And geraniums on the organ." "Okay." Helen felt herself tighten up. "And she wants to put the pansies on the altar." Helen paused. "That's not going to be okay." "I know." Eric giggled. "Oh, horrors! Pansies on the altar." Adam held one finger in the air. "Next thing you know, she'll have gladiolas in the pulpit." Eric spoke in sonorous tones. "Dearly beloved, today's reading comes from Gladiolas, chapter 5, beginning at the 13th verse." Helen pursed her lips. "It's not just about the altar. It's Irene. She just... Vera and Gladys don't like her." "No surprise there," Adam murmured. "Adam, that's not appropriate. You know Vera and Gladys go to see Jenny Ellis in the hospital every day. Every day." Everyone knew Jenny Ellis. Pale and soft-spoken, she brought little chocolate eggs for all the kids at Easter and candy canes at Christmas. They went to see Jim Halverson, too, every week before he died. The kids went quiet. Jim Halverson had taught the children of the church how to buzz a piece of paper by holding it between their thumbs and palms and blowing on it. He had made Bible games where everybody spun around for each of the apostles they could name. Helen sighed. "Besides, Irene is hard to take. She walks into the sanctuary with her shoulders swinging and her hips swiveling like she owns the place. She points here and there as if she was a general. It puts people off." "I like her," Cynthia whispered. Helen took a breath, poked her fettuccine with her fork. "All right, that's fine. She is strong. I respect her for that. I like it that you like her, but..." She sighed again. "I made another potion today," Cynthia said. Helen did not look up. "Did you shred the dandelion leaves like I told you?" She barely felt the question flowing from her. "Yes, and a little mint I found too." Helen nodded. "Good. That will calm the stomach." Later on, sitting at her vanity in the bedroom, Helen said to Larry, "You shouldn't let her get away with it." "Let who get away with what?" "Irene, putting flowers on the altar." "Why not?" "Why not? Because we have never had flowers on the altar, ever. Pastor Krause wouldn't allow it." "Pastor Krause required women to wear a dress and high heels when they read aloud in church. He's not here anymore." "Yes, but the ladies in his altar guild are. Do you have any idea how upset Vera and Gladys are going to be if we put flowers on the altar?" "I don't think it's that big a deal, Helen." "I know you don't, but they will." She paused. "You know they're worried sick about Jenny Ellis. Shaking things up like this is just going to make it worse." Helen stood behind the white-clothed altar at church. She noted her own reflection in the silver chalices she was setting out for communion. Jenny Ellis usually did this. She put out the flagon and the plate for the bread and wine. She baked the bread, sweet and heavy and rich. But now Jenny was recovering from surgery to remove her cancer, So for now, Helen was setting up communion and buying bread from Nelson's bakery till Jenny got better. If she got better. Oh, wait a minute, gluten-free, Helen thought. She rushed back to the cabinet to get the covered pottery bowl that held the gluten-free wafers for Anna Halverson, who had celiac disease. Anna had given the bowl to the church last fall, soon after Jim had died. "It sat by Jim's bed for years," she said. "I don't know where he got it." "Looks Persian," Larry had said, though Helen doubted that. It was beautiful, with red and purple interlocking labyrinths of lines. She lifted the lid. Yes, inside, the gluten-free wafers waited. Helen looked up. Hairs prickled on the back of her neck. Something was coming. Yes, there. The distant clock, swish-swish clock of the church's front door opening and shutting. Then the clomping of high heels in the outer hallway. Irene's high heels, of course. The sanctuary door into the main worship space swept wide. "Oh, Helen, I'm so glad you're here." Irene advanced down the center aisle. "We've got so many flower orders. I'm just coming by to figure out where to put them." Helen kept her mouth shut. Usually Gladys and Vera set the flowers out, but at the March Worship Committee meeting, in the 30 seconds or so of awkward time it always took each year for them to say, "Oh, that's all right, we'll do the flowers again," Irene had raised her hand. "I'll do it." So she was in charge. "Let's see," Irene said. "We should have the lilies on the floor on either side of the altar. I thought yesterday they should come across the front, but maybe they should be on either side. What do you think?" "That's fine," Helen said. "And then gladiolas across the front, if you like. Geraniums on the organ." Helen hesitated. "Okay. And I talked with Pastor Larry about this yesterday. Pansies on the altar. I think it would be great. That splash of yellow and purple right here and here." She pointed on either side of the altar. Helen gritted her teeth and swallowed, took a breath. "We don't generally put flowers on the altar. But we have so many. Did you see? Almost 3 times as many as last year. Where else will we put them? We don't want anybody getting mad because their flowers can't be seen." Helen restrained the urge to curse Irene under her breath. "I understand. Well, if Larry says it's okay, I guess it's okay then." "Wonderful. Oh, and I'd be glad to help with communion dishes if you like." Helen's stomach shifted. "No, thanks. I'm almost done." "Okay. Any time, though. Just trying to serve." Irene waved and sauntered out. Helen spent 3 days figuring out how to tell Vera and Gladys about the flowers. Finally, she invited them to lunch at the Tilson House, where they serve the best crab cakes in the city. "Helen, you must be getting ready to tell us something really important if you got us out here at the Tilson House," Vera said over a bite of salad. "Yes, we've been trying to figure out what it is, and we think we know," Gladys said. Helen twitched a smile. "You think you know, do you? Well then, what is it?" "You're going to let that Irene Samuelson help take care of the communion ware while Jenny's gone, aren't you?" "Why do you say that?" "Because she told us. She waved her hand in the air like she was the queen and said, 'If you need any help with communion ware, just let me know.'" Helen crinkled her brow. "No, that's not what I meant to tell you." "What then?" Helen glanced toward the waiter. The crab cakes should be coming any minute. "Well, we've got more flowers for Easter than we've ever had before." Both Vera and Gladys paused. "More?" "Yes, almost 3 times more." Vera frowned. "That's really strange. Irene shows up last fall, hops on the worship committee right away, takes charge of the candles for Christmas Eve, and the place is packed. Then we do a special appeal to refurbish the organ, and we get all the money in a week. And now the flowers? It's uncanny." Gladys nodded. "It's strange. She says she's just trying to serve, but she acts like she's queen of the world." Helen kept still. In the corner of her eye, she saw the waiter approaching, just in time. "She showed me the sign-up sheet," Helen said. "Every household in the congregation is ordered a set of flowers." "Where are we going to put all those flowers?" Vera looked at Gladys with horror in her eyes. The waiter placed the crab cakes on the table. "Thank you," Helen said, then took a breath. "Irene wants to put them on the altar. She thinks a clump of pansies would look pretty on either side." "But we've..." Gladys stuttered. "But we've never put flowers on the altar." I know. Who died and made her God? Irene burst out. She can't just waltz in and change everything around here. What does your husband say about it? Helen shuddered. My husband says we delegated the flowers to Irene, so she gets to say how we arrange them. Vera and Gladys stared at Helen. She's putting flowers on the altar, and he's going to let her? Pastor Kraus would never have allowed such a thing. Pastor Kraus isn't here anymore. My husband is. A tense silence lingered for a moment. I wanted to let you know ahead of time so it wasn't a surprise. Well, it is a surprise, and not a pleasant one either. Vera scooched her chair back as if to get up and leave. Gladys began to follow, but then looked down at the crab cakes glistening in front of her. She hadn't tried them yet. They beckoned with a perfect brown crust. The scent of crab and rich spice swirled around them. Gladys swallowed, glanced at Vera, who had stopped. With slow delicacy, Gladys picked up her fork, drew a bite of crab cake into her mouth, and swirled it around her tongue. Yes, an unpleasant surprise, she said, but did not move. Vera watched Gladys for a moment, then took a bite too. Her face softened. The crab cakes do their magic, Helen thought. After a sip of wine and another couple of bites, Vera said, At this rate, next Easter we'll be drawing pentagrams on the pulpit and sacrificing goats on the altar. Helen quirked a smile. Vera! Gladys slapped her forearm. You shouldn't say such things. Vera frowned. Well, it's true. Where do you think it's going to end? I don't know, but that woman is not touching the communion ware, and not a single one of the altar hangings either. Not a thread. Right, that's right. We'll do it, till Jenny gets better and comes back. Vera's voice broke. Till Jenny... Gladys put her hand on Vera's forearm. Don't worry, Vera. Jenny will come back. We'll keep praying. Helen thought, all things considered, that the lunch had gone about as well as could be hoped. She told Larry. That's good, he said on his way out the door to a committee meeting. That's good, she thought to herself. That's good. He lets Irene Samuelson put flowers on the altar when he knows it will upset Gladys and Vera. He knows, but he still goes and does it anyway. And then, when by some miracle I manage to calm them down, even though they're frantic over Jenny's cancer, all he can say is, that's good. I swear I'm going to kill the man. But then, later that night, he touched her on the shoulder in that particular way of his, and they made love, and she fell asleep in a haze of swirling life. The altar was glorious on Easter Sunday. Almost no one commented on the pansies, except to say that they were beautiful. There was a light about the whole church, brighter even than what Helen thought she could have conjured. Helen prickled at Irene babbling to Larry about how much she liked his sermon. So clear and joyful. This was true. Helen loved Larry's sermons. They made her think, and they made her smile. She just bristled at Irene jabbering on and on to him about it. But then Irene stopped talking. Jim Halverson's wife, Anna, had emerged from the crowd to hug Helen. Helen's eyebrows shot up as Anna's arms embraced her. Anna had not appeared in church since Jim's funeral last October. This has been such a great day, she said. I could almost feel Jim here, singing in heaven. She bustled over to Gladys and Vera, hugged them. Thank you again for visiting Jim in the hospital. It really meant more than I can say. Gladys smiled. We were happy to do it. He always told us how much he worried about you, how you would get along after he was gone. How are you doing? I'm doing horribly, Anna said, but that's to be expected. And this helps. She waved her hand around. The flowers and the music and you, and to see Jim's bowl up there on the altar. We wouldn't sell it for $1 million, Vera said. Anna Halverson leaned back. Oh, that's a lot. We could actually do something with $1 million, like set up low-cost housing with a mental health center. How about $1,000,001? That would do. She moved out the door. Helen felt a jolt in the air behind her. She turned and met eyes with Irene. Irene had heard all this. For a moment, Helen thought Irene's eyes flashed crimson. Then they went dark brown again. She waved her hand behind her. Happy Easter, she called, and was out the door. Helen laughed that afternoon watching Adam, Eric, and Cynthia hunt Easter eggs. They had a grand lunch with lamb and gravy and chocolate Easter bunnies for dessert. Larry was exhausted from church, so he took a nap. The kids ran downstairs to play computer games. The kitchen stood in silence. The chairs akimbo, dishes in the sink. Helen watched the stillness for a moment and realized it was time. She had felt it coming without knowing. Now the motionless air proclaimed it. Time to face Irene. She slipped up to the church and started putting the communion things away. After all, it was her turn again. The church was quiet. Early evening light stretched through the windows and across the pews. Helen murmured in a sing-song voice as she washed the silver flagon and chalice, dried them, put them away in their special felt bags. She came back for the plate and gluten-free bowl. She looked up. The church door had opened and shut. That would be Irene. She watched the sanctuary entrance. Sure enough, Irene appeared in the back of the church, holding a cashier's check in her left hand. "I thought you might come," Helen said. "I just forgot my offering." Helen held up the check. "For $1,001? That's a big offering." Irene glanced at the check. "How did you know?" "You were in charge of the candles Christmas Eve. They were perfect. The place was packed." "Yes." "And then we did a special appeal to refurbish the organ. You made the display, and we got it all in a week." "I was just trying to serve. And then, lo and behold, you managed the Easter flower orders, and 3 times as many people sign up as last year." Silence. "And now you're standing there with a check for $1,001 in your hand." Irene's fingers quavered. "What are you?" "What do you mean, what am I? I am a member of this church." Your eyes turned crimson the moment someone quoted a price for this bowl. Helen touched the gluten-free bowl. Silence again. "I locked the door," Helen said. "You what?" "I locked the door when I came in. I'm alone, it's late, so I locked it." "It wasn't locked." "Don't lie. It was locked and you don't have a key. You just waltzed in. What are you?" "What do you mean?" "Please, Irene, let's not pretend. Are you a fairy or an elf? A banshee? Maybe a yokai from Japan? I know you can't be a ghost because you eat at the church dinners. Whatever you are, you desperately want this." She lifted the gluten-free bowl. Now Irene had turned red. "How can you not understand? I'm just trying to serve. Do I look like a fairy? Do I have butterfly wings? Do I look like an elf with pointy ears like in Lord of the Rings?" "No." "Maybe you think I'm a demon because, oh horrors, I put your precious flowers on the altar. That was fun, watching your 2 old biddies squirm. Except no, I don't smell of sulfur, so I'm not a demon." Irene's eyes had gone crimson again, and she was now 10 feet tall. "I'll tell you what I am. I'm a genie. Jim Halverson bought my covered bowl at a cheap antique shop when he was working for Standard Oil in Saudi Arabia. I hid from him. He did not know I was there, so he did not call me, and I did not come. But then he died, and Anna gave my bowl to the church. The church calls everyone, so I came. I had to. I had to serve you. But you aren't pleased with my service. Maybe I should just destroy you all instead." "That would land you in hell if you're a genie," Helen said. "Who cares? You'd still be dead." "You won't destroy us. Not while you have a chance of getting this." Helen held up the bowl. "You can't just steal it, can you? It has to be given to you freely, or sold to you. You've been trying to think of a way to buy it, or maybe edge your way into the worship committee and have someone hand it to you and say, 'Here, take this,' and you would." Irene had turned bright red now. Her head reached the roof of the sanctuary, 20 feet up. She bent down, one huge finger close to Helen's face. "How do you know all this? You are just an ordinary woman." "Am I? Why do you think I came here today? On a whim? By chance? Come on, use your mind. I am not ordinary. I am a witch. From my mother's side from long ago, and not just a good witch either. I put away my spells for the man I love, a decision I do not regret. But if you threaten my people, I will destroy you." Helen raised the bowl. "I will break it. Then you will be trapped here for as long as the building stands. I will burn it down. Then you will burn to ash with it." Both of us know this magic. I could also break this bowl outside under the stars, and you would dissipate into the wind. Would you like that?" The creature named Irene paused. "Maybe." She returned to normal size, still red. She took a shuddering breath. "The church called. I came. I had to. I am bound to serve whoever owns the bowl. But now, who do I serve? Do I serve Pastor Larry? He's not the church. He says he's not. Do I serve everyone? But everyone's not the church either. The congregation constitution says that Jesus is the Lord of the church. Do I serve him? What does that even mean? I draw a huge crowd Christmas Eve. People whisper. I pull in money for the organ. People look askance. Anna Halverson is happy with the flowers on the altar, but Vera and Gladys, who love her, are furious." She shuddered, crumpled to the floor, and leaned against the end of a pew. "I cannot please everyone. I am pulled apart. I am broken." She lifted up the check. "Do you want the $1,001,001? I could make it more. Just let me have the bowl, please." Helen watched Irene from the altar. She looked down at the tiny bowl with its labyrinth of red and purple lines. She whispered a prayer and thought for a long moment. Then she picked up the bowl, walked over to Irene, knelt beside her. "No one serves Jesus out of bondage, Irene. Larry showed me that. We serve out of freedom. So I'm going to give you this bowl for free. No price. Keep your $1,001,001. No demand. I only ask a favor of you. You get the bowl anyway. But after I give it to you, would you, out of compassion, heal Jenny Ellis of her cancer? Please." She handed the bowl to Irene. Immediately, Irene disappeared. No trace, no bowl. Helen bowed her head and sighed. "Oh well," she thought. "It was worth a try." Helen arrived home. Larry was up. The kids had got into a big fight over the computer game. Tears streaked Cynthia's eyes. "They're always better than me." "Where were you?" Larry asked. "Clearing up things at church," she said. Larry looked at the kids, looked at Helen's drawn face. "Let's go for a walk." And they did. Helen breathed in the cool spring air. Fragile leaves were hanging tiny from the oak tree branches by the road. Irises in the neighbor's yard were just beginning to bud. Eric and Adam were racing to the next street sign. She let go of the day and put her arm around her husband. "Mommy, what's that plant?" Cynthia asked. "That's bergamot. It's good for headache," Helen said without thinking. "Oh." 3 days later, Helen, Vera, and Gladys were sitting in the church office table, folding newsletters for May, when Jenny Ellis stepped in. "Jenny!" Helen sprang up. Jenny peered at them with wide eyes, pale skin drawn across her face. "The doctors let me go. They say the cancer's gone. They say it's a miracle." Vera and Gladys stood up, hugged their friend. "So it is," Vera said. "Our prayers were answered." "I suppose so." Jenny sat down. She stared at the table and the piles of folded paper. "I had a dream last night. A woman came to me, all red. She was huge. She held the side of my head in one palm, and suddenly I knew I was well. I laughed, and she smiled. She said, 'Oh, now I see,' and disappeared." "Must have been an angel," Vera said. "Or a dream," Gladys murmured. Jenny furrowed her brows. "Or maybe something in between." Helen smiled and looked out the window at an oak tree rustling in the breeze. Well now, she thought, Irene came through after all. You never know what people will do.